Earlier, we saw how your browser asks for a page in this format, http://hostname/directory name/page name. Or we might code more generally by replacing directory name by path, where path represents a possible chain of subdirectories. Since we need to make use of this kind of information frequently, let's see how this is constructed. The above format is informally defined as a web address, but the formal terms are URI for Uniform Resource Identifier and URL for Uniform Resource Locator. Technically, URLs are a subset of URIs, but in informal discussion, these are the same, and we will use the most commonly used acronym of URL in our courses here. A resource is a file on a server, a web page, a document, a video file, and so on. So the question of where do I find a file on the internet is the same as what is the web address of the file and what is the URL of the file. The structure of a URL uses this scheme: //hostname/path/filename. And in front of the URL, we typically see the name of the protocol to be used to locate the resource. A protocol is the definition of the rules, procedures, and steps to take to accomplish a task. In these courses, we will see these protocols: HTTP Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTPS Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, FTP File Transfer Protocol, file:/view a local file, TCP Transmission Control Protocol, IP Internet Protocol, TCP/IP, TCP over IP. Again, there is supplemental information on the website for the interested student, but for our purposes, we will most frequently use HTTP. To tell your browser you want to use HTTP to retrieve a resource, you code the commonly used format of http://hostname/path/filename, which says to use HTTP to fetch the file specified in the path specified on the host specified. Hostname is a name given to your server, for example, stillpluggingaway.com. This is also called your domain name. When you set up a website, you must register your domain name. The list of registered domain names is managed by a consortium that works to ensure domain names are unique on the internet. Then your domain name is actually mapped to a hardware address on the internet called the IP address. Yes, that's the internet protocol we mentioned earlier. A number of servers on the internet are dedicated to looking up domain names and returning IP addresses. So you can use familiar names, and the internet will find technical hardware addresses, and you don't need to worry. The servers that do this lookup are called domain name servers, or, of course, DNS. When you specify a URL, you can omit the file name if you want to get to the website's default page. Every website can be configured to have a default page, and the most common default page's file name is index.html. So if you access a website by using, say, stillpluggingaway.com, then you will be directed to stillpluggingaway.com/index.html automatically. When building your own website, set or find out what the default file name is, and be sure to create a file by that name. This becomes your website's home page. If you specify a file name that is not found on the server, at least not in the specified path, you will get back what is called a 404 error, page not found. The 404 part is from the standard for HTTP. In this case, first check your spelling, including capitalization, for the file, path, and domain name. Along this line, a couple of notes of interest. Domain names are case insensitive, so these are all the same. While on the other hand, path names and file names are case sensitive, so you must enter them with the correct capitalization. Windows users need to be careful. Recall that on Windows, all path names and file names are case insensitive. Best to get in the habit of using a consistent capitalization scheme. One last thing here. What's happened to the familiar www at the front of the domain name? Don't we need to write www.stillpluggingaway.com? The answer is, it depends. Most commonly these days, you do not need to code the www. If your browser can't find the page as specified, many will try adding www in the front before giving up. But you need to make sure your website is set up so that your users get routed to your site whether or not they specify the www. It's possible to do this using a redirect setup in your server configuration. Make sure the company that hosts your website does this. The one downside I've heard about if you don't set up the redirect is that search engines will not realize that stillpluggingaway.com and www.stillpluggingaway.com are the same site, so they will keep track of traffic to your site by each path, even though they are really the same site. So your rankings in terms of number of hits will not be combined. With the redirect in place, you get a more accurate picture.